Hello everyone, this is Leonardo Siron, and welcome to another video game review from the gaming generation. What's the review of today? Of course it's Dragon Ball Z Super Butouden 3 for Super Nintendo.
勝負だカカロットこいつで聞いた
Well, yeah, Super Butouden 3 was released in September 1994 in Japan, and in Europe it was released on March 1995. In Japan it's called Dragon Ball Z Super Butouden 3. In Europe, more specifically in France, it's called Dragon Ball Z Ultime Menace, or The Last Menace, if you want to translate to English. Basically, the game has two modes: Combat and Tournament. The Combat mode allows you to fight another player, you can fight the computer, or you can just watch two computers fighting. It's worth mentioning that this is the only Super Butouden game that doesn't have a story mode. Instead, it's got this tournament mode that allows you to play a 8-player tournament. The tournament mode does not allow CPUs, and by finishing the tournament, since there's no story mode, you will see the credits. But this tournament mode feels a little clangy because after you choose your characters, the game will randomly place them in the brackets. So far it's okay, but let's suppose you're playing in 8 people. Each one of you have a character assigned to you, so it's fine. When it comes to your turn, you grab the correct controller and fight. You get eliminated and it's okay. But let's think about it. If you don't have exactly 8 players playing, someone will have more than one character, right? And by the random locations, it's possible that you have to just kill one of your characters if they end up fighting each other in the tournament. So it feels a little sketchy. It feels like it could have been better planned. Let's talk about mechanics. Well, as in most arcade fighters, you've got your health bar. And in this game, the battles have no time limit, so there's no clock anywhere in the screen. Since it's Dragon Ball Z, you've got a key meter bar. And below the key meter bar, there's a little map that can be deactivated, but it's very useful for it shows the position of each player. And there are key blasts as well. So, how do you play? You press Y on the Super Nintendo controller to punch. You press B to kick. You press A for your key attacks. And you press X to fly up and down on the screen. You can press B and Y at the same time to charge your key. You can press R or L to dash sideways, which is a very good means of movement when you're not near your opponent, that is, because dashing towards your opponent leaves you exposed. But fleeing from them with a dash, it's okay. Each character has 2 major key blasts, a regular one and a stronger one. The stronger one consumes more of your key bar, but of course deals more damage and is harder to execute. The regular key blast is done by pressing back, down, forwards, A, and the stronger one is done by pressing down, back, forwards, A. There's no variation between characters. When you do the major key blasts away from your opponent, and special animation will play. If you do them close to your opponent, your character will charge a big energy chunk for a while and then shoot it. Sometimes it leaves you exposed, but if you time it right, you can even combo with it, but it's very rare and hard. So one of the most unique things about the Super Butouden series is the mechanics of when you shoot a key blast from far away from your opponent. A little animation will play of you throwing your key. Then the screen changes to your opponent. Then the person who is receiving the key blast can enter several commands to react. If he misses the command or if he presses nothing, he will get hit and take full damage. But it's possible to defend to take only half damage by pressing backwards and A. You can take only a quarter damage by deflecting the key by pressing back, down, A. Then you start holding the key ball in front of you. Then you have to keep pressing back, down, back down, back down, back down until the ball fades away. Another option is an option that consumes a little key, but safeguards you against all the damage. It's by pressing front, back, front, A. Your character will explode his key and destroy the blast. And the coolest option of all is that by pressing down, back, front, A, you will do your own blast and you enter a clash. In the clash, whoever press A 50 times first, or whoever press A more times during the time allotted for that, will win the dispute and the opponent will receive the key blast with full damage. Be careful not to spend more ki than you have left, or else your character will be left tired in a helpless state. If a character is in this state when he or she receives a ki blast, he won't have any options for defense. Comboing is not a very rich experience in this game, because this game feels a little stiff. Even if you consider that the fighters of that era were not as fluid as the Third Strikes or Guilty Gears that we have nowadays, this game is still not as fluid as other games from that era, like Street Fighter 2 or even Mortal Kombat. That, by the way, came a few years before Super Butouden 3. Many characters have similar attacks, like a flurry of punches, or a upwards knee attack, or a descending dive kick. And combining your normal attacks with your melee special attacks is tricky. Sometimes they don't link well, your opponent can defend between one and the other. It feels stiff most of the time, but every now and then I could pull off a real combo and do real damage even with key blasts in the ending of it, and it felt very nice, but those times were the exception. Because of that, the game feels like it lacks depth, since there isn't much combo jutsu material for you to practice and improve on. The game is mostly based on spacing and managing your ki and your distance to shoot blasts, to do critical damage, and or get near and do some normals or some combos with the right spacing and getting out. It's more about footsies and key management than in-depth combos. Well, the game starts off with 8 characters, all of them from the Buu saga of Dragon Ball Z. We have Goku, of course, Goten, Kaioshin, Gohan, Buu, Kid Trunks, Majin Vegeta, Dabura, number 18, and you can unlock a 10th character by entering a code in the opening sequence. That code unlocks Future Trunks, the only character that's not from the Buu era, but from the Cell saga. Most characters, to be honest, feel the same. Their movement, their weight, they're all very similar in that. It seems that the thing that makes the most difference in the feel of each character is the size of their sprite. Thus, the size of their hitboxes as well. So, if you're little, you are harder to get hit, but it's harder for you to hit your opponent as well. If you want to play mid-distance, play like Deborah, because he is very tall. Things like that. But the frame data and the way they move feels very similar. Even if you try to specialize in one character, he will still feel very similar to the other ones. One cool thing though is that each character's victory poses varies according to the amount of damage they took during the fight. One problem that bugs me in this game is that when both players play the same character, the second player will have a different color. But in most cases, this secondary color is too similar to the original one for comfort. It's possible to mistake with one another if you're not paying attention. They could have gone more creative there. They should have. One funny thing I want to mention though is that Future Trunks has a normal attack that is holding down and then kicking. If he does that in the ground, he will slide. If he does that in the air, it is as though you weren't even pressing down and he will do a regular kick. Of course, he can't slide in the air, right? Well, wrong, because there are 3 levels that are on the clouds, so even if you're on the lower level of the screen, you're not actually on the ground, you're still flying above the clouds, but when he is there, he still slides. Before each match of the combat mode, you can alter some of the conditions of the fight. But keep in mind that even if you're playing against the CPU, you will need a controller plugged in the second port in order to change their first 2 status. The amount of health you start the match with, and the strength of your attacks. You can choose for them to deal normal damage or stronger damage. That's sort of a handicap. Then you can decide the CPU difficulty if you're fighting one. The CPU difficulty is not very consistent. Of course, you have difficulties 1 through 4. Level 1 is very easy. He won't attack very often, so it's good for you to train your combos on it. Level 2 attacks a little more, sometimes it does cool tricks, and level 3 and 4 are very inconsistent. Sometimes they are much harder and sometimes they are much easier. They seem to be almost the same level because of their variation. And it's important to note that if you're having difficulties against any CPU, if you just keep away, throwing your big ki blasts on them, they are much more likely to lose. They play much better at close range. So you're having problems? Keep away, charge your ki and throw the blasts. Of course, they'll throw blasts at you too, but if you're good, you can just give the damage back to them, or defend. It's just that they're much better in melee fighting, believe me. And finally, you can choose between 1 out of 6 battle musics, or you can just keep it without music. You've got 9 levels to play on. Most of them are recolors of other levels in different times of the day, and the only thing that changes from level to level is their look and their length, except for the level that is located in the middle of the menu, because there you can't fly up, you can just fight in one level of the screen. Funny note, if you're playing a human player, and you know that they're going to try to shoot their blast at you, you can disrupt their inputs very hard. How? Make it so that one of you is in the air and the other is on the ground. Then you just keep dashing from one side to the other of the screen, so he will keep changing the side he has to enter his input on. I tried that against the CPU, but the CPU of course doesn't have that problem. It still shot a blast against me when I was trying to mess with it. So all things considered, even though I said this game is stiff and all the characters feel alike, the tournament mode is faulty, but it is still fun. Of course, I am a Dragon Ball Z fan, but even though, you know, if you're not looking for a fighting game with much depth, if you just want to throw some punches, do some normals, see some cool flashing ki blasts, it's fun. It's very rewarding to give back the blast at your opponent and win the ki clash. The characters are very cool, they animate cool. You can really feel the impacts of each blow in this game, which is very rewarding. So overall, It's not a rich experience, but it's a fun one. So if you're willing to pass some times and get some laughs with your friends, throw key around, play this. It's nice, you should play it. Just don't take it too seriously, because I think it's very hard to do so. So, all things considered, see you next time! Hey, this is Leonardo Siron, and remember, we are the gaming generation. If you liked the video, please like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. In the Gaming Generations page you'll see very cool and funny gaming related images and content every day. We do Twitch streaming, we do memes, we talk about everything gaming from retro to new. Also, take a look at my personal page in Facebook and my YouTube channel. There, I upload awesome gameplay 5 times a week at least. Check it out and have a blast, because I know you will. See you next time. Bye bye.